A person has died after taking the Johnson & Johnson COVID-19 vaccine. The victim allegedly developed Guillain-Barré syndrome after receiving the jab. It's a rare disorder where the body's immune system targets its nervous system. Dr. Nicholas Crisp from the Health Department joins us now for more. Thank you very much, Dr. Crisp, for your time. We'd really like to unpack how this happened. Can you explain what happened in this specific case and how COVID-19 vaccine triggers Guillain-Barré?
Good evening, Andy, and good evening to the viewers. So let's put this in perspective. Guillain-Barré syndrome is not common at all anywhere in the world. There are about 100,000 cases reported around the world per year. And it has a number of different triggers, very non-specific and can't be identified before the time. Some of those cases are triggered by viruses and bacterial infections. And in rare instances, they are triggered by vaccines and medicines, but many of them we never know what triggers it. And many of these patients do recover, but in this particular instance, the patient deteriorated, was ventilated, and after some time on ventilation, died. What has happened is that there are intensive investigations into all adverse events that are reported following immunization. There's a number of clinical teams that are engaged in this in the provinces, and then those reports are sent to the national committee that is responsible for investigating adverse events, especially injuries after what we call injury after an adverse event. And that committee, called eNCA, has now concluded that the vaccine was the precipitating factor and was causative. In other words, it was responsible for this Guillain-Barré in this case. So they've excluded all other potential causes of Guillain-Barré and attributed it to the Johnson & Johnson vaccine.
Once again, to put this in perspective, let's just establish so far how many cases or related deaths have been investigated for causality with regard to any of the COVID-19 vaccines administered in South Africa.
So I'm not sure how many have been investigated, but this is the first death that's been attributed. So far we're aware, and this process is managed through, as I said, through a reporting process of pharmacovigilance, ultimately governed by the South African Health Products Regulatory Authority, because we want it to be independent. We are aware of 75 what we call injuries, which need to be assessed, that have been attributed to vaccines. So out of 37.5 million doses, we are down to just over 6,000 reported adverse events, and of those, about 75 that are deemed to be causative. Most of them are either transient or mild, but and this is the first death that we've got out of 37.5 million doses.
Once again, to reduce fear among those who may still want or need to get vaccinated, what are the chances of this happening?
Well, so far, 1 in 37 million, I guess. 1 in 10 million if it's just Johnson & Johnson vaccine, but 1 in 37 million if you take all of the vaccines in our country. So that's a better chance than surviving on your way to work in the morning and getting into a traffic accident. So it's an extremely, extremely rare event. And we know that medicines have side effects. All medicines have side effects. And occasionally those side effects are quite severe. We also know that some foodstuffs have side effects, and there are certainly complications to many other aspects of life. So whilst this distresses us, taken into consideration the number of people who have not got sick because they have had vaccines which have protected them from severe illness, this is an extremely, extremely rare event, and it does not change our attitude towards vaccines and the need for people to get vaccinated.
So, as you've said, this is the first case where causality has been established. Is there any impact on the vaccine developers?
No, there won't be. This was already reported in the early stages during the course of last year in other countries. So Guillain-Barré is a known condition as a result of vaccination. because you are exposing the individual to the protein of a vaccine and of a virus, similar to the virus, that is not an unheard of thing to happen. And it had been noted before and was in the package insert and is a known very rare side effect. So nothing has changed except, of course, for this particular individual. It doesn't change the vaccination, the vaccines, or the fact that the vaccine protects the vast majority of us.
Well, thank you very much for clarifying this case. That was Dr. Nicholas Crisp from the Health Department.